Stop 1. Introduction. Welcome to the audio tour for the 2013 exhibition of Search for the Authentic, Pottery by Phil Rogers. The content for this audio tour was selected from the catalog essay by Perry Price. Price is Director of Education for the American Craft Council in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Thank you and enjoy. Stop 2. Rogers and his work only appear to fit complacently within the Anglo-Oriental type that dominated mid-20th century studio pottery as typified, indeed generated by, the icons of the movement, Bernard Leach, Shoji Hamada, Michael Cardew. Working in his independent pottery in the countryside of Wales, Rogers produces work that combines subtly elegant forms with ash glazes and simple decoration. He seems to embody the integrated combination of life and work championed by William Morris for the 19th century arts and crafts movement and the Mingei, or anonymous craftsman philosophy, toward pottery and art championed by Leach, Hamada, and Suetsu Yanagi. With an emphasis on functional forms and use of humble and quiet decoration, his work undoubtedly owes to the legacy of these potters and thinkers, yet quietly, confidently conveys his unique. Stop 3. Despite the backlash against their approach to ceramics following the passing of Leach, Hamada, and Cardew in the late 70s and early 80s, Rogers credits Leach's seminal text, The Potter's Book, for his own decision to become a potter during that time. The choice of form, decoration, and glaze seen in Rogers' work reflects the synthesis of both Asian and British folk traditions reimagined by Leach and his contemporaries. And yet Rogers has no formal connection to these traditions. He is an autodidact potter, teaching himself not only how to throw, but what pots to make, often based on the approaches to functional pottery taught by these early innovators. These forms have come to typify his own style. Stop 4. There is humility to Rogers' pottery. Whether in the variation of jugs that derive from medieval British examples or the Yunomi and Chawan of Japanese tradition, Rogers maintains that the potter must know something of the traditions and conventions that have existed and contributed to the growth of that form. And yet, Rogers is no traditional potter. While his environment in the Welsh countryside contributes clay for slip and ash from his hearth for glaze, his work is not the continuation of a traditional Welsh or even British pottery tradition. One can see the continued influence of Korean Joseon and Chinese Song ceramics introduced to British ceramics by Hamada and Leach, both in the vocabulary of forms employed by Rogers and his demonstrated mastery of ash glazes. Yet it is an amalgamation of favorable techniques. Stop 5. While a number of forms are seen in series, none stand rote in production-like fashion. Jars, pitchers, bottles, cups, bowls, and plates each sing with the confident voice of individuality, each a variable expression of the archetype. Even press-molded bottles carry that same confident singularity, where the body of the pot, decoration, and glaze harmonize. It is difficult to describe where one ends and another begins. Faceted planes define the profile of the form, yet subtly gather glaze as it gently flows during firing. The Tenmoku and Nuka ash glazes come alive in those detailed places where the form of the pot changes, and the superficially casual finger wipes through the still wet glaze provide both an abstract decorative gesture and another moment for his superb glaze chemistry to express itself in the fire. Incised or brushed decoration does not sit on the surface, but extends the body of the clay or the color of the glaze. Stop 6. Pottery, both practically and poetically, is best known by its relationship to the body. Functionally, the pot becomes an extension of us. The feel in the hand of the platter laden with food, the balance of the handle of the jug filled with milk, the kiss of the teacup against one's lips. We visualize this as best we can first with the eyes, but invariably with touch. Rogers' pots speak to the body with both voices, a siren song in the play between form and glaze, calling first with the eye, followed by the warm touch through the hand. This is, oddly, because the pot is us, a strange little homunculus shaped from the earth that we can only describe as we do ourselves, with a foot, a waist, a shoulder, and a lip. They are elemental, they breathe, they touch back. Stop 7. In this way, the work of Phil Rogers is an embodiment of the qualities of pottery unique among art and material culture. Pottery is metamorphic. Roger's pots tell us as much about who he is as they tell us about ourselves. They speak of the working rhythm of the potter, as much about preparing clay, mixing glazes, loading and unloading kilns, as about the artist at their wheel. They speak of the transformation of plastic clay to vitrified stone, and of silica glaze frozen in its most fluid moment. They speak of the rhythm of daily life, of morning tea, afternoon gathered flowers, and evening meals. The work of the potter is an engagement with daily life in the production of objects that transcend the day-to-day. Stop 8. Conclusion. Yet I want to be careful, for Rogers is no mere craftsman, artist, archetype. It is enticing to project on him and the product of his labors the atmosphere of our most idealized notions of the potter, heir to and burdened with philosophies of Morris, Leach, or Yanagi. The poetry of Rogers' pottery does not require our projection from without. It is the result of Rogers' own steadfast and humble approach to his work. Yet it is often only through poetry that we come close to an understanding, and to me the closing lines of Marge Piercy's To Be of Use echo among the pots of Phil Rogers. Quote, "The pitcher cries for water to carry, and a person for work that is real." Unquote.